Hello, and welcome to this special masterclass that Karen and I have created for you today, which is all about visually shaping your personal brand. And we're going to be getting into some really juicy content today. And we're so excited you're here. And I will just bring up the slides to get started. But this is for you if you are someone who is a thought leader, speaker, author, developing your own business practice, and you want to create a brand that really reflects who you are and aligns with, what you actually do and what you offer and what you're good at. And it's about creating that visual identity to go with that. Or you may even already be, have this great website and have these beautiful collateral. But you just have evolved. Time has gone on, and you look back at those visuals and just think, are they really me? Do you really connect with that same look and feel? Does your brand really reflect who you are? What do you think, Karen? Who
Yeah,
else?
absolutely. And I think this masterclass is also for, I meet so many women in leadership that actually want to give back. They exist beyond just making a profit. So it really is about, a social impact or giving back to the community. They either support foundations or they want to build legacies that they can pass on. So we're here to support you through that personal brand story and any message that you need to deliver to the world. It could be professional, it could be personal, and
Mm,
that's what we love doing, just
yeah,
making women, visible,
yeah,
amplifying their
yeah,
their mark on the world and sharing their story, which is
yeah.
really important.
And look, we might be biased, but we really do feel that the power is in the visual. Visuals do the talking for you, and if you've got this brand identity and this visual presence that really can articulate your story, you're doing yourself such a great service, and the people who want to find you a really great service as well. So that's why we want to talk to you and present this masterclass all about visually shaping your personal brand identity and designing a brand with impact through strategic brand identity, graphic design,
Mm.
and branding photography. So, hi, my name is Rebecca Taylor. I have been a portrait branding photographer for over a decade now, and we're working closely with top level CEOs and entrepreneurs, thought leaders, speakers, and pretty much anyone who just sees the value, knows the value of personal branding, and actually wants to do big positive impact in the world. People who are just so passionate and lit up about what they do because they really know that at their core there's so many ways that they can actually help to make lives better for others. And I also work as a mentor, personal branding mentor, and a visibility coach.
Excellent. And my name is
Okay.
Karen Osorio. I have always been in branding. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And for me, it's all about bringing passion and purpose to create profit. And I love working with women, especially because they do,
Mm.
in terms of, making their mark, their visibility, and just bringing their authentic brand. I love speaking at events. I'm also a brand coach. I've developed multiple workshops to kind of look at brand essence and discovering who you are and how you can authentically deliver that. It's so, so important and crucial, I think, especially in this digital world.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go through what we're going to cover today.
I think, well,
Actually,
importantly, I think it's our mission. And we
yeah,
kind
let's
of
talk
got
about that
together.
first.
And what I loved working with Rebecca is that
Mm,
we were so closely aligned. And at the end of the day, it's really to help professional women make their mark, build their legacy through the power of personal branding, which involves graphic identity and this visual storytelling piece.
mm,
Now, we were having a conversation the other day. There are two ways you can build a brand, and trust me, I've seen it all. And mostly what happens is people go, okay, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get a logo. Normally, they get a logo by a friend of a friend's brother's, sister's, mother's next door babysitter, and then they go out there. But a brand like that, it doesn't stand the test of time. Or you could build a really powerful and strategic brand that's actually aligned to your values. It's aligned to your brand essence, which we're going to go into more detail, but the heart and soul of who you are, and but what you stand for. Because if you stand for everything or you don't stand for everything, you stand for nothing. And that's what we're here to help you discover. And then how do you translate that story visually to impact others?
Beautiful, beautiful. So, what we're going to cover is we're going to give you an intro to personal branding. You may have done a little bit of work discovering your own personal brand, but we're going to dive into that a little bit more. And then we're going to also look at why is that important? You know, why do you even need a personal brand and why one with impact?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brand essence as well. A lot of people don't understand it. It's a bit of a buzzword, but at the end of the day, it's the core of who you are. And when we get a deep and true understanding of that, then we can authentically deliver that message that you have.
Mhm.
And then to complement that is
Yeah,
telling your story.
we're definitely got to dive into photography and using that as a powerful visual tool for your own brand building. And then we're going to dive into graphics, which is Karen's expertise, and talk about the fact that it's not just about a logo, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go through the foundations of how you can build a compelling brand. And then that would lead you to actually having more visibility, but visibility with impact and purpose and meaning.
Yeah, and then we're going to go through what are the next steps. Like, how can you work with us? We have teamed up with both, want to bring our expertise to really help you to create that personal brand and that visual identity that aligns with your personal brand to create that meaningful, positive impact in the world. So let's dive in. So personal branding, it's really about what do you want to be known for? Like, what's your reputation? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want people to know about you? Even it's, thinking about, when the day comes and you're no longer here, what do you want people to be saying about you? And this is really summed up well with Jeff Bezos, who is the founder, as we know, of Amazon. And he says that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I really love this because, it just draws on the point that if we are all walking, talking personal brands, and,
Yeah,
and whether you
absolutely.
like it or not, know it or not, there's a perception, if you like, or a judgment that's being made about us. And it's up to us, you as the individual, to take charge and take control of how you want to be perceived. What do you want to share about who you are and your values and the work that you do? And a really great personal brand is always going to come from that authentic place. It's not about manipulation.
Mm.
It's not about trying to make people see things about you that's just not true. It's about really tapping into who you are, who you best serve, and how you can make your biggest impact, and influence. So that authentic piece is just so much at the crux of all of it. And, that's what we will help dive into as well, is really understanding your strengths and how you want to be seen out there so that it really does truly represent you in the way that you want to be seen and how you want to stand out and be what you want to be known for. When you've got that personal brand that just, stands out and people just know that you are the go to, if you like, in that industry that you're in, it makes it very easy for yourself to do any kind of selling or marketing about what you do. It makes those who want to find you very, very easy because they know you're the go-to. If you're looking for that leadership consultant out there, they're going to go, oh, well, you've got to call this person. Personal branding has the power to do that. It has the power to set you up in a way that makes it really easy and recognizable as to what your strengths are, what you offer, how you can best serve. And you're doing everyone a better service in the long run as well, once you get that little bit more savvy with developing that personal brand. you know and when you are that go-to and that leader, you will be invited to really great opportunities, whether it's to speak on a panel or maybe it's paid speaking gigs around the world. Those opportunities will come to you so much more easily and organically because people just know you're the one for the job. You can get yourself more visible in a way that actually sets you up for long-term success as well. And of course, create that legacy, which is what we all, deep down, we're all searching for that meaning and brand purpose. And so creating that personal brand done well will really set you up long term for creating a really great leadership brand, but also a beautiful legacy to leave behind as well. So you might be kind of thinking, oh, I'm scared about this whole putting myself out there thing. And look, we totally get that. You know, it's a practice. It's something that we've all, both Karen and I have had to take ourselves through as well. And it's something that we take our clients through, is to overcome the fears around visibility. You know, you might even think, God, it's all been said before.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's done this. So why bother? You know, no one's interested in what I have to say. But the thing is, you know, by you sharing your content online frequently and consistently and showing up and sharing your contributions, you know, you are allowing your voice to be heard, your story to be heard. And no one has a story like yours.
Yes.
You're unique, and your special perspective on things hasn't been done before, hasn't been seen before. And the delivery, the style, and the framework that you deliver what you have to offer to the world hasn't been done before. So people want to know who you are. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, people want to know your story, right?
Absolutely. I think also too, it's an alignment of values. When you get really centered on that and you communicate your values, you'll start to attract people who are aligned to those values as well. And they'll start following you. They'll start believing in you. They'll want to be part of something bigger
Yeah.
and greater. So it's just about being sincere about what that is. And you'll be surprised how special it is
Yeah.
and how women will actually be out there and are looking for what you have to offer.
People want to know you care at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. So if you've got if you're showing up and sharing your contributions and writing amazing content and putting together great posts on LinkedIn or getting onto a podcast or, you know, those type of platforms where you can really share your story, you know, ultimately you're letting people know why you do what you do, the purpose behind it, and ultimately sharing with them that you care.
Yeah.
Which brings us into a crucial part of developing that visual identity that has impact. It's all about your brand essence. So, Karen, what do you say about that brand essence?
Well, I've been talking about brand essence for over 10 years when no one even knew what brand essence was. And now everyone, it's a bit of a buzzword. But essentially, when I talk about essence, I talk about when you strip away everything, you know, your layers, your roles, how, you know, how you think you should be looked at. And when we strip all that away, what are we left with? And it's essentially the core of who you are. And that is so unique. No one can ever replicate that. So that's what I do. I go and I work with women and we kind of strip away all these things to discover, who am I really? It's the heart and soul of who you are. But beyond that, it's, why do I exist? You know, what is my purpose and what is my meaning? And I find that women, as they get along in their careers, they're happy to kind of, you know, climb up the corporate ladder and become really successful. But then there's something deep inside them that they need to express. They're coming into their own person and their own woman, I think. And this is what's so important. If we could lead a personal brand with heart first, and then the other stuff, it's going to be far more successful and you're going to connect on a deeper level. And it's interesting. The biggest mistake that I see with brands or with personal brands is that they lead with their credibility first and their professionalism. And I was one of those women. When I first came out after studying, I brought out my business card. I was the CEO of my own business. I only had one person. It was me. And I had all the little names, all the little letters after my name, you know, because I had gone to 3 different universities. I had done courses. I had done research. I had been with mentors and life coaches. And I thought, this makes me ready. And I met my life coach, an entrepreneur 10 years ago, and he literally looked at my business card, he ripped it up and he threw it out the window. And I was devastated. And he said to me, Karen, people don't care about that. And I said, of course they do. Like, you can trust me. I've done this. Look at my portfolio. Look at all the things that I've done. You know, I'm credible. And he said, people do business with people they like. You don't have to tell them how good you are. You don't have to tell them what you do. I said, but when you lead with heart, when you're authentic and they see the real you, they'll Google you, they'll research you. So you don't have to worry about all of that. And so when I went deeper into researching around the psychology of personal branding, I came across Steve Covey. He's amazing. You would have heard of him. But The Speed of Trust, that book is incredible. And he spoke about the same thing. I call it head and heart. Stephen Covey talks about character and competence. But when you lead with character, which is essentially who you are, why you are, your personality, your story, your essence, you're going to have a far greater connection and engagement. Of course, you need to be credible, you need to be professional, you need to be good at what you do, but don't lead with that. And when you come from that kind of place, that's where you build that loyalty and that trust, and you build fans around your brand, right? So that's how I've built my brand over the years. Everything has been referral and word of mouth, that relationships based. And why is this so important? Because at the end of the day, research actually shows that people make decisions based on their emotion, not just their reason. Of course, reason is important, but if you had two options that were exactly the same and you had to make a choice, you would lead towards the option where you felt something. You just got a feeling, a gut instinct. You like that person better. You can't put your finger on it why, but you're drawn to that. So that's why it's so, so important. And I keep on saying this so much more now after the pandemic, after COVID, where everything went digital. People are actually missing that human touch and that connection. They need to see real people, the people behind the brand, to know what they stand for. That's why it's just so, so important. And I teach this a lot because so many personal brands or brands in general are kind of in this reason, and they talk about what and how they do. There are very few people who are talking about why they do what they do. And when you do that, something inside you sparks up. It ignites something, with other women who are then passionate about the same kind of causes as you might be. You start bringing that warmth, that sincerity builds that trust so much more than saying, da, 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 here's a list of all the things that I have done, or all the things I've studied, or these are all the skills and the services that I have done at my career, during my career.
Mm.
When we start shifting into this emotional space, you really people connect with you, and it becomes this I care experience rather than just going in and just transacting. And that's going to make the world of difference. And when you get really great at what you do and connecting and building those relationships, that's when people go, I can only get this from you. And so all of a sudden, in commerce where we have an exchange, we pay money, we get a service or a good, or, we interchange with the person, we start looking at, I want to be part of something bigger, a community, a purpose, and it doesn't matter what the cost is. I need to be connected to that woman. I love what she does. I love what she stands for. How can I, contribute? And at the end of the day, it's as simple as, a personal brand is about how you make people feel. It's really about the relationships that you build and you nurture along the way, and the experiences that you deliver, one on one and one to many. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would have seen some of the photographs already shown in this presentation, but it really does show the use of also photography, of course, to share and tell your story. But what Karen touched on is so, so important about the why, and actually showcasing those layers of who you are and why you do what you do. So we're going to go through now that more visual, how you can do that in using visuals, and so looking at photography, I mean, yes, I'm biased. Photography is my jam, it's my thing, but I really do see photography as one of the number one essential branding tools to create that legacy, build that brand, build connection, and create the visibility and impact that you want. So, personal branding and storytelling is such a key aspect of brand building. And what better way to do that than through photography? You can really curate how you want to be seen with photography, show up in that way that really authentically expresses who you are, and tell your story through photos. So we've got here, the power of photography. So, it is an essential business and personal branding communication tool. It is, visuals are picked up. I think the brain processes visuals 60,000 times more faster than they do with text. So visuals throughout your social media feed, when your people are scrolling through your website, the visuals that you interlay throughout all of your copy and text and everything else that's included, those personal branding photographs of you are actually going to be the things that really pop and resonate and tell the story so easily. Your story is something that you can shape with personal branding photography, and we're going to go into how we can do that as well. um, but that consistency, of building that trust, is about showing your face frequently. You might be thinking, oh God, people are going to get so sick of seeing the side of me. But it's actually not true. The reverse is actually true, where the more you do show your face and show who you are and show the layers of who you are, and create that brand through consistently showing up, you're going to help to build that trust and connection that's just so, so important with personal branding. So that showing up, sharing your story with photography is going to build the engagement. When people are, looking, you can probably even see it right now when you post something personal about yourself and show that photo of yourself. That's what's getting the best engagement. They're going to, people are really cheerleaders for you, and they're going to be seeing that personal story that you have to share, and they're going to be able to build that trust and therefore connect with you more. So hence way more engagement. Of course, with the personal branding photographs positioned everywhere, you can grow your network. You can build those fans, those people who just want to hop on your train because they just love what you do and love how you do it. You can really build, your story using personal branding photography. And remember, it is not about trying to be everything to everyone. It really is about you tapping into who you are, allowing those layers to come through so that those who want you, those who like the way you do it, those who see the world maybe through the way that you see the world, they're the ones that actually are going to be attracted and want to work with you. They're the ones that are going to help you to build that legacy-led career and business. It's not about trying to be everything. So the people who don't get you, the people who don't really understand what you're talking about, or don't see how they can connect with you on that level, that personal level, they're not necessarily the people you want to serve anyway. So the more and more we get comfortable showing up and sharing ourselves, sharing those layers, the bigger and more impact you're going to have with developing that personal brand. Here's just a beautiful case in point using my client Angela Koning. And we've worked together a number of times, and she really has got this concept of creating visibility based on not look at me, but about actually contribution. So she has really, she has created a strong personal brand leadership presence. She is a leadership coach, executive coach. She is a podcast host, and she works with organizations and facilitates and creates really great impact. And throughout all of her branding and marketing are photographs of her, which I'll show how she's incorporated that. So you might be thinking, how can you even use photographs to tell a story? Or how does that even look? What does that look like? And so there's kind of tools and tricks that I have in my kit, which are about how I sort of use photography, use the technical aspects of photography to create that story. So obviously there's things like expressions. If you've got that little kind of cheeky look off to the side, or that little glow in your eyes, or that sparkle, it's going to tell a different story to then those ones that have that bit more deep toned looks. So you can really shape the feeling of your brand through your photography, through those expressions of joy, of seriousness, or of just simple being in that moment and allowing whatever kind of magic happens. So you've got obviously poses, they play a big part as well. So how we position you, whether it's that kind of CEO boss babe kind of look that we could do, but it's also just those really beautiful, natural, organic moments. And they're the moments that I really strive to create and create a safe space for you to, during the photo shoot, to actually bring out those natural expressions and poses. And then we have a play and work with you to create sort of beautiful, natural moments. Of course, styling plays a part in the storytelling. So, how you dress, those outfit selection is obviously a really core piece, which I help you with. And I have a styling team as well. And we work together to create those looks for you. You might also use lighting itself to create mood, whether it's a darker tones or using, more of light and shade and contrast. Those also can bring in deeper messages and meanings through your photography. So you can really use your photography to create that visual brand that stands out, but also to tell a story. And just to show you, Angie's done brilliantly at weaving these photographs throughout all of her marketing. So when she's online writing posts for LinkedIn or e-newsletters, with her website. She is able to use her photographs and show up in multiple ways consistently, sharing great messages. She's got, like, LinkedIn, a lot of brilliant posts around, say, for instance, burnout and fatigue for leaders. And so she's even got a photograph there of her sort of lying back and with the computer. It's like she can, representing that leader who just doesn't let their work leave their head. So it's just that constant. So you can really be quite clever about how you use your photographs to weave in and create a message. Of course, you've got like podcast covers and different things like that as well, which your photographs can be used to really represent who you are. And then, you'll see, even as you evolve, your leadership, your style of presenting within your role, or just even who you are as a person, evolves. So you'll see how I've captured Ange over the years, and the looks can change as well. So it's always important to update and refresh your branding photography, and then create a look that actually is more aligned to who you are right now. And, and what better way to also bring about some great, beautiful visuals and incorporate that into your branding and your story than by incorporating graphics. So this is absolutely Karen's jam. And yeah, she's going to take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. I love this picture of Oprah, and Oprah's brand is synonymous with authenticity and empowerment. She really was a voice for women to help them reach their full potential, regardless of their race, their culture, where they came from. And that's why, I talk about let's get graphic, because a brand is so much more than that. A brand is not just a logo. When we look at the Chanel logo, it is simply 7 letters in a row. That doesn't say anything. But what does the Chanel brand stand for? It stands for elegance, and it stands for style, and it stands for strength. And you have to imagine, the woman behind the brand, Coco Chanel, when she started this in 1910, she was pioneering for women to be visible, to be seen, where normally they would be going to school and being taught how to be good housewives back then. And she was daring and kind of came out. And I love this quote by her where she says, dress shabbily and they remember the dress. Dress impeccably and they remember the woman. Not dress impeccably and they remember Chanel. She stood for something more. And that's what we're going to help you with your personal brand. How do you get that mission, that vision? How do we get your story across so that you've got all these other women who believe in what you're doing? And so a brand is really a philosophy, and it's a way of thinking, it's the culture. And you think of, why is the Apple brand so powerful? Because they created a culture of innovation. So their brand transcended the desktop computer, and their strategic vision was pioneering leadership, progression, design, And so they created that, and that's what people want to be a part of. It's not just a logo. And so here we come to the key foundations of what makes a visual identity. And we kind of have 6 foundational components of what we do. I've separated the brand essence and the brand images and the photography as separate components because they're almost crucial. We need to start with that before we get into what the brand is going to look like. And I have so many women come to me and say, I just need a logo, I just need a website. And I never start there. The visual component comes after. And the brand essence, the story, the personality, what Rebecca was talking about is so important. Getting that personal brand photography, which showcases your layers and who you are and how you want to be perceived is so important. We then can go into, for example, the word mark. We go into the brand typefaces. We go into the color palette. All these things say something about you. Then we bring all those elements together and they form the visual identity in terms of how do we design these elements? How are they spaced out? What do they look like? What is the layout? And putting all those pieces together can make an incredible first impact. And we're going to show you the foundations of a visual brand with Caitlin. And I love using her as an example. When Caitlin first came to me, I think about 10 years ago, I asked her, I said, so what do you do? And she said, I bake cakes. And I said, oh, okay, fantastic. And I said, let's find out a little bit more. She invited me, she had a showroom, and I was blown away. She showed me her upside down cake. I didn't even know that they existed. It is literally a cake that hangs upside down. It has multiple tiers, how this thing doesn't fall apart. And then she showed me her candelier shake, which was surrounded by Swarovski crystals, and then this thing lit up. And I just went, wow, you don't just bake cakes, Caitlin. And so really it was about repositioning her, about how she wanted to be perceived. And she became a cake baker. And when she came to me, obviously she had her business that she was promoting, but there was no personal brand. There was no woman behind the brand. And so I helped her kind of come to the forefront and to the light. And all of a sudden, instead of becoming she worked in a small little bakery, she became a haute couture chef and an emotion inventor. And I love this because as she started to progress through her career, people knew her as a sweet innovator of edible love, because we were trying to say that she doesn't just create cakes. The cakes represented, they were a symbol of love and hope and a union. And every time that she, had a cake, it was at a monumentous milestone lifestyle event. And so then when we looked at, and here I'm just talking about brand images, I'm not talking about the personal brand photography that had its own section that Rebecca was talking about. These were brand images that would complement your brand as well. And when we looked at that, we wanted to elevate her positioning to all things haute couture. And why was that so important? Because haute couture is about having something custom made for a special individual. But not only that, everyone knows haute couture is the top of the top, la creme de la creme. It's of the highest quality. So we were talking about Caitlin elevating herself from just baking cakes to actually creating these exquisite masterpieces that were edible, which really elevated her brand. And so we looked at all things from like fabrics and events. And you can see on the screen here, that is her famous chandelier cake, which she sold at $4,000 a pop. And I said, Caitlin, we need to start selling more of those and start moving and shifting your brand. And so what we did was, when she first came to me, obviously she had her business, and many women already do. Maybe it's your career, or maybe it's a cause that you want to be doing and showcasing to the world. But really, who is the woman behind the brand? And so we created this personal brand mark. It becomes your personal identifier. and we created it by Caitlin Mitchell. I did a bit of, we call these in Europe, they're very big, it's a calling card. And so every time she would have a cake of hers displayed at a wedding or an event, she would just have this card that would sit next to the cake, and people knew, oh, it's another creation by Caitlin Mitchell. Or, where is Caitlin? And it was beautiful. And I'll just flick to the next slide so you can see that we also did a visual, a logo, a brand mark for a little cake place. We wanted something that was simple, that was classic, that would stand the test of time. And you can see the identity that she had before. It was kind of handwritten. It had a bit of a motif that looked like it could have been dated. It was a little bit decorative. And I said, we actually need to strip all of that and just let the name speak for itself. But when we went to her brand mark, we used the same typeface, but we used it all in lowercase. So that also gave it an approach that was more personable. It was friendlier, and she was more approachable. But for example, this small attention to detail, we got rid of the dots on the eye. So it also made it look very designer and very elegant as well. As you can see too, I'll just flick through to the previous slide. This by Caitlin Mitchell not only became her signature, it also became like a watermark. So on all of her images, on all of her posters, on everything that she did on social media and online, everything would have a by Caitlin Mitchell, rather than promoting, a little cake place, so that she was able to get more recognition, I guess, in the marketplace as well. That elevated her status as well, and she started to enter in kind of bigger awards, international awards, where people were starting to get to know her a little more. We then move into typography, and that's so important because it represents the tone of the brand, the personality of the brand. And trust me, there are hundreds and thousands of typefaces, and sometimes you don't even know where to begin. That's why the brand essence, we discover how do you want to be perceived, how do you want to be presented, and that gets reflected into the typeface. And as you can see here, this is the same typeface, but you can use it in so many different ways. You've got all these different weights, from like thin to bold to extra bold. You can use it in capitals, you can use it in lowercase. When you use it in capitals, it's more of a statement. So, when we had a little cake place, it was a statement piece. When we used it in lowercase, it was more personable, approachable. All these little things say something about you without you having to say them about you. And that's when the brand speaks for itself. And then we come to the brand color palette, and that's so important. I heavily rely on color psychology, because if you want a vibrant, happy, feel good brand, maybe you go for colors that are warm, like yellow. If you want to be looked at as professional and a person of authority, maybe you've got those navies or those beautiful deep purples. It was really interesting when I was designing the brand for Caitlin. It had to be absolutely feminine. It had to have that feminine touch. I got inspiration from everything from fabrics. I went into her bakery, tried lots of different icing. And for me, I wanted to create something that was similar to her creations. And so when I did it, I absolutely wanted to lick the screen. That's how much, and we color sampled different icings and cakes and all that type of stuff. So it had a bit of her essence as well. And that's what we would do for you once we uncover how you want to be perceived, and what's really going to match your personality. And we've got some examples that Rebecca will go through and do. When we get all of those elements, the typeface, the photography, we then move into things like, the layout. How do we actually apply this? And this is such a wonderful example. Maybe you already have a brand, that's out there. Maybe you've already got your business cards or whatever. And it's interesting, brands also evolve. So that might have been fine, like when you started, or you haven't started yet, but you can see as you evolve, your brand also evolves with you. And one of the biggest things with with Caitlin was her business card, and this is just a business card. Imagine when you apply it to, your website, your social media. This was a small little, card that you would give people. And already she was limiting herself, for example, by having a photo of, the cake. As soon as you have something like that, people are having opinions. Oh, maybe that cake is too large. Maybe that cake looks too old fashioned. Maybe that cake looks too expensive. Maybe it's not for me. So people are already making, decisions and making opinions. And I said, Caitlin, you need to let your cakes and your creations speak for themselves. We need to just simplify it. We need to just have your name. Let them come in and experience your cake. Let them come in and taste it. Let them come in and see your showroom or have the website or deliver a portfolio that has lots of different varieties, but don't narrow it down by handing out a card. So you can even see, by having this slimline card that we gave out, it just gave an incredible first impression, and it left them wanting to learn more, to see more. And even little simple things like making her number an international number, that's tying into like the European calling card and all things haute couture, made her more exclusive, made her more global, made her have a bigger reach, and it elevated her status so that she was entering bigger competitions and being seen in more places, and how she became an award winner. But essentially, these are all the components that we do to really build visibility with impact. So, Rebecca?
Yeah, so the visibility with impact, and look, thanks Karen too, because that was really great just to see how the visual graphics component can be weaved in as well to the whole visibility of your brand. So when we say visibility with impact, we're talking about that really more purpose driven branding, and which is what Karen and I are essentially are very passionate about and experienced with and want to help you with. So, we talked about the Angela, how she was so great at weaving in her branding, her photos into every component, and just that idea about showing up is actually about serving. It's about sharing your contributions. It's about your allowing yourself to it's not about seen as a leader and about me, me, me. It's actually about how you can help others. So when you view it like that, you will actually get more excited about showing up and getting more visible with your photographs and creating that brand with impact. So here's just some examples as well of how you can incorporate your photography and your graphics into your online communications, particularly, and where you can show up. So you can see magazine features, PR and media. I mean, of course, they're going to love and want all your photographs, and they're going to also be incorporating some graphic component to that as well. You've got your articles that you'll be, needing to pitch yourself and create as well, put yourself out there in that way. You can see how my client Jackie, she's used her photographs in multiple ways through on her website to showcase her, on her homepage to showcase her speaker kits, her author profile, and how she's a CEO and a thought leader. And then you've got things like obviously your website, you've got Nat Cook here, 5-time Olympian, every, leader out there is looking for that portal, that place to put all their great work in to really create that influence and expand their reach. And so you've got obviously websites as a great option for that. You've also got articles, like I said, internally. So if you're part of an organization as well, they're often creating beautiful branded imagery and, publications so that you can also incorporate your own photography in that as well. You've got author profile, book covers, you name it, speaker kits, great places to also be using your photographs. And showing up with your contributions. So, this is some examples here of also how you can weave in the graphics. You've also got here your banner on LinkedIn. It's perfect prime real estate to really show who you are and how you can help others. So you've got your photographs, and then you've also got beautiful graphics that build that consistent branding, and you've got LinkedIn articles. You may be creating events on LinkedIn or posts, and you can incorporate, again, your beautiful graphics along with your photographs. And then, of course, you've got all your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, where you can show up and really serve and create that brand with impact. Podcasts, tiles, social media promos, you name it. So your photographs and graphics become so, so, so powerful and important. Just a couple of just high profile people I just wanted to showcase to you, just so you can see how, like, you can do it too, and this is how it's been done. But you'll see Naomi Simpson. She is a founder of Red Balloon. She is always in her red, and her brand really does speak to that as well. It's a lot of red colors, and it's all about adventure. So her photographs generally are of people getting together and connecting, and the experiences and memories that are created together. It's all about that beautiful adventure that you can go on. So she's always incorporating those photographs into her branding, and her graphics align with that as well. Lisa Leong is a beautiful client of mine. I've worked with her for several years now, and every time I've doing a photo shoot with her, she is who she lives and breathes. What you see right there, she is exactly that: joyful, vibrant. You'll see pops of yellow throughout her branding, because it's often about that kind of, she wants to bring out the sunshine in people. So she's often talking about that and how to create a better workplace and culture. And she's an ABC radio presenter. And so she is an absolute game changer. And she is doing incredible work in that space of this working life. And her branding and her photographs are really tying into that message that she has around, how to create a great workplace. And she brings in her own personal stories and ties it all in together really, really well throughout her branding. So always a lot of fun working with Lisa. So we just want to go through just some really, some next steps of how you can work with us, because obviously now you're probably thinking, there's so much information that we've given you, and what can we do with that? So that's where we come in. It's where we can actually team up together with you to create that brand, build that legacy, and, and help you along the way. So don't feel like you're all alone doing this. This is something that we've designed a great packages and different tools and ways that we can support you.
And I think that's so important, because the biggest step to success is actually closing the knowing and the doing gap. I have so many women who have all these brilliant ideas or have all this brilliant knowledge. They've done the research, they've done their due diligence, they know how to do it, but then all of a sudden it gets put into the all too hard basket, or they don't actually know where to start or how to start. And to be honest, it starts with the first step. And so that's what we're going to talk through to help guide you. And we're here to, hold your hand through all the different steps and along the way. But it's about taking this knowledge that you've learned in the masterclass, and how can I apply it? Or how can we, with our experience, get you to where you need to be? So it's not just how do I start, it's where do I start? And it is different for different women as
Mhm.
well, huh,
Mhm.
Rebecca? So
Yeah,
let's go
that's right.
through, for example,
Yeah,
the first two options. You may have a brand, you may not have a brand at all.
that's
So
right. Yeah. So you're at different parts of the journey, and we understand that. We'll work with you and work well out that where you are at in your journey, and where we can step in and help you along the way as well. So, we'll start with a personal brand online audit. That's a great place to just for us to look at actually what is currently out there, what is currently seen about you. We'll dive in and we'll find all the themes and the messages, and we'll build together a great we just say it's like a kit that we're going to build for you, which actually presents your brand essence. And we'll do all that sort of legwork for you and make that really clear, so that then those who you are wanting to speak to in your marketing will become clear to them as well. So we'll put all that together for you in a personal brand online audit and a brand essence discovery session too. So we will help you along the way. We'll set up a time to have an initial team chat and go through looking at your current branding and actually explore more where we want to take it.
yeah. I think that's critical. The brand essence, if you remember going back to the other slides, it's kind of leading with the heart rather than the head. So the brand essence discovery is really all about you. It's what your story is, what your purpose is, and it's finding out your true uniqueness so we can deliver it to the marketplace. And it's critical. the amount of times that women have done this and the clarity that they get, and then
Mm,
the direction, they then can move forward with confidence, because they start to really believe in themselves. And
mm,
they say to me, how did you take all this stuff that was in my head and in my heart and actually put it into words so that I can communicate that in a way that is authentically me?
yeah.
And that is the critical part. And it's hard because so many women, I ask them these questions and they're not sure how to answer them and they
Mm,
don't want to. So sometimes you need someone who's going to help bring that out
mm,
in you, or to recognize, because as you were
yeah.
saying before, Rebecca, so many women going, well, this is what I do, but that doesn't make me special. There are so many people, but it
Yeah,
is so special,
that's
and
right.
you may not see it
Yeah,
because you're
that's right.
you,
I was just
but
about to say that.
others. It
Yeah.
was like when Caitlin said, oh,
Yeah.
I just bake cakes, and I was like, wowzers, oh
Mm,
my gosh, like look at the value you deliver.
yeah.
People have to see what you do
Yeah.
because they won't believe it.
Yeah. And sometimes, like this process as well, I feel like it actually does put you into a different headspace. It really plays on your own psychology so that suddenly you see your value that maybe you just hadn't quite seen it before. Or maybe it's positioned in a slightly different way that actually serves you much better in the long run. So, yeah, that's something that we've found with this, with the photo shoot component, with the branding, the holistic perspective that we provide, but also how we actually put it together and create that brand for you. So we're going to, we've got a number of different packages for you. We've got a Let's Get Started, which incorporates most of what we've talked about, but it sort of leaves off the sort of the hearty website development part of it. So that's where we get to like the Let's Get Serious, which incorporates a bit more branding, identity work, and provides you with the guidelines. And then we've got more the Let's Go In, right, Karen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So all of the packages really depend on where you're at and how serious you are about getting your personal brand out there. At a fundamental level, all the packages though include a personal branding shoot with Rebecca, and it includes a visual graphic identity. But then we'd love to get in and start
Mm,
helping you write your leadership bio. They have been instrumental.
I love
And
it.
what's amazing is the content that we create here can then be layered. It can go on LinkedIn profiles, it can go on websites, it can go into articles,
Mm,
it can go into social media. So there are
yeah.
so many different ways in which we can use the content that we create,
Mm,
whether it's written, whether it's visual, whether it's your visual
mhm.
photography.
Okay.
And then we can go through and do that.
Yay. So excited. So, look, we really, really appreciate you being here on this masterclass journey with us. And, thank you so, so much for being a part of this. And hopefully, I'm sure you've got some incredible value. And we are always available for any questions at any time. So reach out, ask us any questions. We can set up a time for a brand discovery call to get the ball rolling, get the conversation started, and reach out to either myself or Karen, and we will share some of our details as well in the show notes, so you'll have direct access to us via email. And then we will let you know what we feel the next steps would be best for you. We'll set up a time to have a chat.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So thank you so much. We are so excited to getting to know you and helping you on this journey, how we've helped so many women before.
Yay,
Excellent.
been a
Thank you so much
pleasure.
for your time. We look forward
Bye.
to getting in contact.
Can't wait to meet you. Bye.